What's up, guys? Zeenigami here, and Blackbeard Sugofest is coming out on the 27th on the global version of One Piece Treasure Cruise. Who's into Sugofest? How good are they? And how much use will they see in the future? Let's get into it. First character is gonna be DotQ. DotQ is a slasher striker. He's got some decent stats, not the best stats. Side characters generally have low health, low attack, good recovery though, just like a regular side character does. His special ability reduces your crew's current health by 10% and changes block, tandem, and recovery orbs on slasher and striker characters into matching orbs. So he's pretty useful if there's something that gives you a lot of block, tandem, recovery orbs. The only thing is that that's the exact same thing that Raid Boss Kuma does, and Raid Boss Kuma also boosts your orbs damage, which was generally more important than just having just changing into matching and being a slasher striker. So Raid Boss Kuma generally just takes this position, and DotQ doesn't see too much play as an orb manipulator. He also doesn't see much play as a captain, since he reduces your recovery basically by everything. Boosts the attack of slasher and striker characters by 2.75 times if your health is at full. So if you're fighting something without any preemptive attacks, you can use them, but there's so many super strong slasher captains like 6-star Zoro and Mihawk and all that DotQ, while a decent character, just doesn't see too much play. You can use him, except when he's fighting against Kuma here, and he's fighting against every single powerful slasher captain there. Still a decent size slasher striker sub with his decent stats. And then we have Shiryu, who is definitely the second best character on this Sugofest batch. Shiryu is a driven int slasher. His attack goes up to 1490, so great attack. His recovery is -300, who cares? You're using a slasher team, you're probably not going to have much recovery anyways. His captain ability, oh man, his captain ability is just like Doflamingo. Doubles your hit points and attacks for slasher characters, so a very usable captain. His sailor ability ignores silence, so you cannot silence him, which doesn't quite yet exist on global, but it will be important on Japan, because his special ability makes it that way with each character, every single character on the screen, raid bosses, 0 stamina islands, no matter what, you have a 25% chance of killing that character. Now, this wouldn't be great if you used it and then you ended your turn, but if you use his special and he doesn't kill anybody, what you can do is you can exit out of the game, come back in before you attack, so that way you've never used his special yet, and then attack, and then that way next turn you can try it again. If you use his special multiple times in the same turn, it always kills the same characters. Like if it doesn't kill anyone, it's guaranteed not to kill anybody. But if you reset to the start of a stage, attack, then it will change the pattern on if he kills something, and this does include 0 stamina bosses. I've tested it. I've used him to kill 2 of the characters. I think I used him to kill Marco and Whitebeard on 0 stamina Whitebeard fight, so you can use him to kill anything. Raid bosses, every single raid boss, it goes through hit barriers, it goes through debuff protection, it goes through everything. It includes resilience, it goes through all of that. The only thing to note is that if the enemy has a revival mechanic, then they will still revive. So if you're fighting something like Hancock Raid Boss that revives upon death, she'll still revive. It's just that you don't have to fight her the first time. You can also just use a special the second time whenever she revives. Well, you have to hope to get lucky. And don't forget, you can always use 2 Shiryu captains, and that way you can use both of their specials, right? So a very, very good special. Goes down to 19 turn cooldown, and it's great. His sailor ability, it's not yet active on global. Whenever it does, there's basically no way to shut down a Shiryu. All you have to do is stall until his special's ready, get lucky, and if you do, bam, instantly kill anything at all. You can use him on 0 staminas to great effect too. Next we have Vergis. Vergis is a fighter powerhouse attacking captain. He boosts the attack of fighter and powerhouse characters by 1.6 times, which does stack. So you have a fighter powerhouse character like he is, then it's a 2.56 times attack, and also boosts their hit points by 1.2 times. So if they are a fighter powerhouse, which is only a small section, but it's a pretty big attack boost. His special ability deals large strength damage to all enemies, and also boosts the attack of fighters by 1.5 times for 5 turns. So a 1.5 times boost, it lasts a whopping 5 turns. The only thing is you'll probably end up using things like Koala or other boosters that are a stronger boost for a smaller number of turns versus a 1.5 times for 5 turns. Still, that 5 turn boost is really good. King Amir with the sub. Thank you so much for that support, King Amir. So Vergis, low recovery, good character. It's just that you usually just want to use a big burst for 1 turn rather than multiple bursts for small turns. Although on stuff on like Coliseum fights that have you fighting multiple bosses, you can use his special on to kill 1 boss that will last all the way until the 3rd boss if you kill everything in a single turn. Vann Auger is probably the 3rd best character in this batch. Vann Auger is a quick shooter cerebral character. His captain ability reduces cooldown of shooter specials by 1 turn at start of the fight and boosts the attack of shooters by 2.5 times. So he is a better captain than Zephyr, basically the same thing as Zephyr, but except also reduces specials cooldowns by 1 turn. His sailor ability reduces duration of blindness by 5 turns, which is useful. There are plenty of fights that blind you for fewer than 5 turns. His special ability, however, is where he's quite good. Since he is a quick shooter, there are not too many quick shooters on the shooter dream team, which of course, once again, to remind you, consists of Ace, Heraclean, Stronghold Frankie, Zephyr, and a quick character. Vann Auger is a very nice quick character to stick in there because he changes the top row into matching orbs and amplifies the effect of orbs by 1.75 times for 1 turn. So using that double ace team, normally you're going to have 1 recovery orb still stuck there. Vann Auger will make it so that way you have 2 dex orbs on both of your aces, so you can have fully matching orbs with a full rainbow team on the shooter dream team. And also, instead of Frankie's 1.5 boost, makes it a 1.75 boost for 1 turn. So that way you can take out Frankie and put someone else in instead of Frankie to like a different strength shooter, or even using like Marco to heal, or using anybody else. So a very, very good quick sub for the shooter team for free-to-play or non-free-to-play teams. And yes, you can also use Kizaru and not Heraclean on the dream team. I always don't include Kizaru because I don't have him, so I never remember. We have Lafitte. Lafitte is a Dex shooter driven character, another shooter, but with Dex teams we already have a lot of very good Dex shooters. He is a Dex driven though. He recovers 3 times recovery at the end of each turn, deals 7 times his attack as Dex damage at the end of each turn. Not the best captain, in fact pretty useless unless you're doing stuff like Penguin Island or something like that, but now we have extra drops like Bakura and Buggy and Haruta that are more useful. He boosts the attack of all your characters by 100 if your captain is a driven character, which is a pretty large boost. It's basically 50 cotton candy on all of your characters if he is not the captain and you have a driven captain. And his special ability reduces Bind and Despair by 2 turns, makes badly matching and block orbs not reduce damage for 4 turns. So you have something that gives you lots of block orbs. For example, the new Orlumbus Coliseum fight will give you block orbs and also make it so that you can't manipulate those block orbs. So you could use him to effectively negate those block orbs without manipulating them away. So a very, very, very niche use character. Reducing Bind and Despair by 2 turns generally isn't enough to get around those longer Binds and Despairs anyways, but the badly matching and block orbs, so basically you can never get a badly matching orb, can be useful on some Coliseum fights. And then the big bad boss himself, 6-star Blackbeard. Oh, 6-star Blackbeard, where to begin? I would actually, if I had to rank, and I do not rank things, you guys know me, I have never made a top blank characters, because as soon as I make one of those lists, people are going to start taking it as gospel, or we'll have lots of fun arguing about whether or not their lists are real or not, or are correct or not. 6-star Blackbeard is definitely 100% one of the most powerful 6-star captains there are. And what he does is his captain ability boosts the attack of all characters by 2.75 times, so it doesn't matter what your health is at, you just have a 2.75 times attack boost, and a 1.5 times hit point boost if you have a striker, a shooter, a fighter, and a slasher on your crew. Now, that just means that on your crew, you have to include these types. So if you have a striker shooter and you have a fighter slasher, then you can have any other character. And don't forget, characters that have 2 important classes, for example, are Kizaru, who is a striker shooter. and anyone else who has multiple classes like that are very, very nice for the Blackbeard team. You can also just use one slasher, one shooter, one striker, and one fighter, and you're good to go. He will also, even better, ignore all defensive barriers and buffs. So he will ignore combo hit barriers. He will ignore orb requirement barriers. He'll ignore perfect, great, and good hit barriers. He'll ignore percent health damage buffs like the one on the Nell. He'll ignore anything that's a barrier. He is still affected by defense. So if something boosts defense, for example, if you're fighting the Coliseum Alvita that's out on global right now, Coliseum Alvita still has 20,000 defense and he'll still be affected by that defense. But anything that boosts it or anything that reduces damage taken is going to be ignored, which is amazingly useful. Now, the only downside to Blackbeard Captain, besides trying to figure out what team to make, which I find rather fun, is that you cannot use damage reducers yourself. So you can't use anything that negates damage, which he also completely ignores damage negating effects. So if you have something that completely blocks all damage for one turn, goes right through it. For example, Story Mode Perona, that fight that we had to use special things to get around, just use Blackbeard Captain, it kills it in a single hit. You can't use effects that negate damage taken. Mirage Temple and Nami, useless on Blackbeard team. Alvita, useless on a Blackbeard team. Perona, useless on a Blackbeard team. Those guys are all gone. You can still delay like with Usopp and stuff. You can also still use Prevent from Death, such as Coliseum Kobe, 6-star Barto. You can use anything that prevents you from dying for that turn. Those effects still work. So you can still get around, you can still get away with those. And which that also means enemy resilience still works. So if you're fighting against raid boss Fat Usopp that prevents themselves from dying, Blackbeard will not ignore that buff. So you cannot use, he will ignore damage limiters. So he will, Inazuma will not work. And any enemies that have damage limiters that prevent damage above a certain threshold, Blackbeard will ignore those as well. He ignores everything except for an enemy's innate defensive value, which only really generally applies whenever you're fighting stuff like lobsters and turtles and stuff like that. But an incredibly, incredibly powerful captain that makes so many fights with lots of mechanics like, okay, now I have to make sure I have 2 red orbs, so now I have my red orbs ready. Okay, now I have to have a high combo hit. And you just use Blackbeard, you just ignore him. Just goes right through him, slice the sword right through him. And he gives you a lot of health with that 1.5 times health boost. So even though you don't have damage reducers, you can just use them and you don't have to worry about it. Just take hits to the face, who cares? And also, important to mention is don't get damage reduction sockets on Blackbeard, because damage reduction sockets do not work. So even though Blackbeard has, 4 sockets, to make sure damage reduction is not one of those sockets, please, because that is useless. His special ability is, no, that's all it's got to be. His special ability cuts enemies' health by 30%, just like Whitebeard does, because he now has Whitebeard's power. But he also ignores barriers with that special ability. So, for example, Coliseum Alvita has a 15-hit combo barrier. Blackbeard's captain ability will go right through it. Now, this only applies while Blackbeard is the captain. If Blackbeard is not the captain, his special will work just like a regular Whitebeard. So, if Blackbeard is not the captain, it's just 6-star Whitebeard special, where it's, or just like Mihawk special, where it's only a 30% health cut. But if he is the Blackbeard, it also benefits from his captain ability that ignores buffs and barriers and just goes right through them. So you can still cut health of something that has like a 15-hit combo barrier and stuff like that. But it does not apply to non-Blackbeards, for example, non-captains. So just because you're Whitebeard, just because you have a Blackbeard captain, your Whitebeard sub will not be able to go through barriers. And if you're using a friend Blackbeard captain and you have Blackbeard as one of your subs, your Blackbeard will not go through barriers too. So it's only while Blackbeard is a captain, his special will go through barriers, which is pretty nice. It's actually like incredibly useful when using him as a captain to be able to cut the health of things with combo barriers and hit barriers and all sorts of other barriers. So Blackbeard, amazingly useful, great attack stat, great health, decent recovery, amazing character. If you can use him, he is one of the best 6-star characters whose name does not begin with an A. But if I did list characters alphabetically, it'd be pretty close to how good those 6-star characters are in my mind. Guys, those are the new characters coming out soon on Global. Blackbeard's the best. Shiryu is really good, especially if you want to be cheeky and cheesy. Vann Auger, very good for shooter teams. And the rest have a spot if you can find them in your team. Guys, I've been Zeenigami. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck, and y'all stay beautiful.